Hello and welcome back to the channel and another video. This is the Arsenal episode 2. Now, before you start worrying where Tom is, unfortunately, Tom cannot Tom cannot be here this evening. He's got other commitments, and I had to get a super sub. I had to, you have to. There's 5 subs now, and you need a superstar on the bench. And I thought, who better than my comrade from the Purely Arsenal podcast? He's setting up his own channel as well. Michael Harris, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for having me on. I think I've got some big shoes to fill. It's just as well I'm a size 11, so I think I might be all right there.
Well, as long as you don't have cloggy feet, he'll be fine with it, won't he?
I think there's a foot analogy. I think it's going to be the ongoing theme this season in your shows. But I appreciate having me on. Obviously we've linked up with the Purely Arsenal boys with Neil and Jack, of course. But a pleasure to be on and to talk about a great start to the season from the boys.
Yeah, exactly. So going into the game, Michael, the lineup, it was exactly the same as what we all expected, or were you expecting changes?
No. I don't think there was the only thing I probably would have said, possibly Shevchenko, because he looked like he was really leggy, in the second half against Palace, and obviously Tierney came on, was involved with the second goal, and he looked, like he got the bit between his teeth. So that was possibly, the only change I probably could see coming in. But no, obviously happy with the way he went, and and obviously he made the switch late on again. But it's great to have the option of having that quality there, that quality cover. Either way, you want to play it. Obviously, it's going to be a long season, so I think Tierney is definitely going to be featuring a lot, as long as he can stay fit, which is what we've all been, keeping our fingers crossed about. So, but no, I think maybe Tierney coming in, but otherwise it would have been the same starting 11.
Cool, good. So for me, I thought that we started. A lot of people thought we were going to start out the blocks and go for it again, a bit like how we did with Palace. I thought to myself, I don't think it will. I think it might take us a bit of time because, Leicester, obviously they didn't get a good result in their previous game against Brentford. So I thought it'd be harder to break them down. And they probably looked at us as much as we looked at them. And we're like, right, let's nullify. They're going to go all guns blazing, just pack it in, and then we'll hit them on the counter, which sort of they did. They had the big one from Fofana very early on, and it was a good save from Ramsdale. I thought Xhaka there that was for me his only clueless moment of the game, in my opinion.
We seem to, when we play against footballing sides or sides that are a bit more expressive, can be expressive as well. Have some good technical players, obviously with your Maddisons and your Tielemans as well. We seem to sort of, there's a bit of a worry there, because we can get opened up a little bit. And there were a couple of, obviously, that situation where, Xhaka was on his heels a little bit. And then obviously in the second half, which we'll touch on, it looked like, when we just stepped off a little bit, we allowed them to pull us about a little bit, and they found a few holes, and especially, Maddison did. But yeah, that seems to be the worry, because if we play against teams who tend to sit back and aren't that expressive, we then have the possession, but then we're always worried about maybe what on the counter we might get done. But no, Leicester, with Rodgers, we know what he's about. He's a good coach. He likes to play football. He doesn't like the direct route. So it was a case of getting that first goal, and thank God we got it, because we obviously went on from there.
Yeah. I was going to say the best sort of chance we had before we broke the deadlock was the Xhaka header. I mean, it was a great cross from Bukayo Saka out wide, and obviously started off by Odegaard finding him. That's sort of the route that Odegaard likes to do. He likes that, arm central, play it wide, see what happens. Either a give or go, or Saka goes direct. And I thought he was unlucky not to get his assist there. I thought it was a good, to be fair, I've never seen Xhaka that far into the box of those things. So we'll touch on it later. Most of his goals have always been outside the box. So it was weird to see that sort of energy from the guy. I think Neil was posting it in the group chat, wasn't he? He was like, oh my God, he's running forward. He's passing forward. He's running forward. He just could have, I think all of us are a bit, rubbed the art. Am I watching the right thing here?
It seemed like he got inspired by the guy on the opposite side of
Yeah.
him, to be honest. And I think he was pretty much playing on that side against him. You know, Tielemans was on the right hand side, Xhaka obviously was on the left. So it looked like he took up the gauntlet and he took the challenge, and you know, he was inspired. Had a brilliant game apart from that blip right at the beginning. And yeah, you know, glad, you know, deserved his goal at the end. But yeah, the guy he's like we've got it is like we've got a new player almost in
Yeah.
that position, because he's doing stuff which we wouldn't, you know, associate with him. You know, making those sort of runs and appearing in the box so much. I think Jesus had the most touches in the penalty area. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Xhaka's not too far behind.
True.
He's probably second in that list.
True,
But no, you know, long may it continue. He's gone through hell. You know, we've all, you know, thrown darts at him and stuff like that. And you know, fair play to him. I think the documentary has shown that the guy, you know, does care. And as long as you care, then you know, and you put in 100%, you know, that's all we ask for as fans. And he's doing that. So long may it continue.
Yeah, and I think he understands it as well. You know, he did give it out. So he's, you know, part and parcel, he is, you know, going to have to take it back. And there's times even where, you know, he's done interviews and he's giving it out to his teammates. I think it was not last season, but the season before. He said, didn't he? This was, I think, when he was all flirting around with the Roma links and everything. He said, didn't he, at the end of that season, well, hang on a sec, I did my job. It was the finish, you know, them up front didn't put the ball in the net, you know.
Yeah.
I did everything that was expected of me. You know, don't point the blame at me and say it was all my fouls or my penalties and red cards. I think you got to blame them. So he's what's the word I'm trying to? He's a very polarizing figure, I think.
Yeah. He said something after Newcastle as well. When we lost to Newcastle, didn't he come out and dig him, or am I thinking of another game? But there was one of the games in the run-in. I don't know whether it was a Palace game or whatever. He came out and he basically threw everyone under the bus.
Newcastle, I think it was Newcastle.
Yeah. And he said pretty much the same thing. I'm sure. I mean, I haven't seen the episode yet, but you know, when they're in the dressing room and they're getting it from Arteta, he's probably gone out with that same, you know, with that anger still, you know, from Arteta, you know, going, you know, to the media and you know, telling everyone how it is, you know, that, you know, it was unacceptable, it's not good enough, and if you play, you know, Champions League football, you've got to, you know, you've got to be there in these games, you know, away from home, you know, 50,000-60,000 people going mad. You've got to stand up and play, and
100%.
You know, we didn't do that. So, but no, fair play to him. You know, the guy has what's the word? He's shown a different side. Some people, you know, his supporters will say, "Oh, we always had it, and we've always known it." You know the ones on you say, "Well, we always supported Xhaka," and this, but you know, for me, you know, my eyes are opened and seen a different guy, and you know, it's mad. 2 years ago, he probably said, "No, let's get rid of him." I'm like, "No, let's keep him. Let's keep him in the squad. He's doing the business, and you know, why get rid of someone like that who's producing? You know, you know, at the end of the day."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the first goal, oh my goodness. Well, he's not God. He's the second best thing. Gabriel Jesus, mate. It's superb, isn't it? It's good football from Martinelli. It goes into Xhaka, he lays it off, and then for me, it had a touch of the Sanchez's about it. And I'm talking peak Sanchez, not Moni Sanchez, when he wouldn't give the ball to anybody and he tried to do it all on his own. And then when he moved to Man United, after about an hour, he cried and wanted to come home. I'm talking FA Cup final, Aston Villa Sanchez. You know,
I'd say it's a South American goal, isn't it? It's a goal that you know.
That's very true.
It's got you look at that goal and you look at the label and you say, "Oh, made in South America." You know, that's the sort of goal that you see. Just no backlift, and you know, this guy. I mean, he's been literally like a ball of energy, and everyone's plugged into him. You know, everyone, you know, the players, the fans, and everyone's just plugged into this guy, and he's just rubbing off on everybody. I don't know. I know we've skipped it, but even the second goal, if you saw the second goal when we celebrated the second goal, the players are all sort of around him, and he's actually giving a team talk. If you look it back, he's giving an impromptu team talk. You know, they're all in a circle and they're all, and he's there in the middle talking to him. And this guy is, you know, he's meant to be one of the leadership
Yeah,
group
yeah.
with
He's
Odegaard and Xhaka. He's there.
third vice now.
Yeah, and
Mm.
yeah, the guy, just touch wood, everything, fingers crossed that he remains fit, and he's going to have a massive season for us. But yeah, the goal was outrageous, and it's sort of goal that just takes the wind out of the opposition.
Yeah,
It's like he had nowhere to go. We shut all the angles down. He produced a bit of magic like that. What he's supposed to do. So yeah, fantastic start. Fantastic.
And yeah, you touched on the second goal there. It's same again. I mean, the set piece delivery, obviously last season was fantastic, and it's continued into this year. I think we've nailed both corners now. We used to have corners that would have beat the first man.
Yeah.
We're absolutely. I mean, I remember there was a time ago, obviously, when Willian and sometimes Cedric were hitting them. And we'd just be like, oh, just give them a goal kick now, or just kick the ball straight back to. What's the point? And normally you'd see a corner as an advantage, and for us it was just like, oh, we're going to be, we're going to be tracking back now. We're playing right into the press when we have a corner, But yeah, no, it was really, really nice. It was a lovely assist from Vardy to knock it on. I thought that was a brilliant assist from him, and. Jesus, he done it in pre-season. I'm trying to remember which game it was where he just was stood like right there on the line. He knew that ball was going to drop to it. I think he done it about twice. It was like little tappings right from, I think that I posted it earlier on WhatsApp, didn't I? That we had the fifth smallest team in the league. But when you look in that box and you've got Saliba, you've got Gabriel, who most goals from set pieces last year, and you got Partey in there, who's not a slouch. Xhaka's quite a big boy. Yeah. I think, and even Zinchenko from the Palace game, you saw what he could do. So I think it's really good. Even if we don't win the initial ball, I think second balls are going to be a big, big advantage for us.
Yeah, we saw that with the third goal, to be honest, when the way the keeper reacted and Fofana reacted to the cross from Ben White, and it was just like panic stations, because you think, oh, Christ, someone's going to... But no, from corners and set pieces, I mean, the delivery is ridiculous. And it's coming in with really, with great pace as well, really coming in and, like you said, it's either going to hit someone or going to get the second ball. So, yeah, the set piece coach is doing his... he's earning his money, man, to be fair.
Yeah, and he's proved that he's worth waiting for, because obviously we wanted him, but he was like, no, I've got my contract with Man City and I don't want to break it, but I will come to you next year when I'm... And, Arteta really pushed it. So, again, it's proving something worth of his... He's spotted him a bit like the... I know that I haven't watched any of the Amazon doc yet. I'm compulsive. I want to watch all 9. I don't, I can't have a break here and there and wait. I'm too impatient. So I'm going to just go bang and do all 9 this weekend sometime. But there's is it the player development coach or something? The young guy, he's only 27 or so. He's another one that Arteta really was like, no, I like.
Yeah, he comes across really well, that guy.
Yeah. Well, it looks as though he could be a manager in his own right in the future. He's got that pedigree. I mean, people forget Mourinho only come in as a translator for Bobby Robson to start with.
Yeah.
So this kid, he had no prior football experience in terms of playing, but he was just an obsessive with coach, and he's just developed and developed. Got to Atletico. He's been, I think he went to Italy for a bit, and he's been around the block. And he's only, like I said, he's only 27, and he seems to be the real deal.
Yeah, he's going to probably get tapped up by someone else.
Yeah. No one else. But yeah, so after that, we had the Ramsdale incident. Now, I know we're going to touch on the players a bit more later on. For me, as soon as I saw it, I thought, not a penalty. Not because it's Vardy, just, and we all know what Vardy's going to try and do. But it just didn't look a penalty for me at all. I don't know why it took so long, but then also I couldn't believe he wasn't booked after it. I'm like, there's so much with VAR and what is and what. I mean, just look at the game between the noisy neighbours and Chelsea. We could be sat here for hours trying to decide what is, what isn't with that one.
It was ridiculous. I think, again, the officiating is it's just so bad. And I think there was an incident where um, who is it? I think someone. I can't remember who it was who made the break in the first half. I think it was Jesus who did it, and he was blatantly pulled back. I think it was by Marty or something like that, or Saka
Yes.
was well,
Yeah, yeah.
pulled back. And then the referee eventually pulled it back and just gave the free kick. No yellow card. Tomiyasu comes on. He pulls someone back, late on, right deep in, in Leicester's half. He's not even over the halfway line. Pulls him back, and he gives him a yellow card. And it's like one was within shooting distance. One of them, and the other is all the way back hit. And you give one. So it's just a joke. I mean, like you said, when I looked at it, I thought, oh Christ, he's going to give it because it's Vardy and because it's they're going to look for the slightest touch. But yeah, great that VAR was in our favour. We should have got a penalty when Jesus got volleyed on the shin, and so again it was hit and miss, wasn't it? It was just the officiating is just getting worse, and we've gone on about it so many times on the WhatsApp group and stuff.
What just annoyed me is that I'm like, okay, Mike, it's just going off on a slight tangent. Mike Dean waits till he has his article every week on the Thursday in the paper to do it. So it's all about not that I care about Chelsea and points and everything else like that, but I'm like, you couldn't apologise to Tuchel on the day then, because you clearly knew it was wrong as soon as it's happened, or after the event as it's happened. But I'm like, no, you're going to wait till Thursday when it's, we've signed Mike. I mean, is there a conflict of interest there having a guy that, to me it seems like it is. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm like, why air this out in an article when I know they're being mic'd up and it's eventually going to be released after, like we said, after the event and everything to be played. Still haven't seen that yet. That was something that we got told in week 1 was happening. So, but I think they're too scared. I think they, like we said, they're making it up as they go.
Yeah, it's also because if it does get released, then there's some form of accountability, and they don't want that. They don't want to have accountability to anything that they do. They want them to make the decisions, and if they mess it up, which they do, they'll send an apology out. 24 hours later, and that's it, and it's swept under the carpet. Mate, he might get demoted to, or he might not do a game for a week, or he might go to League 2, whatever, and then the next week he'll get the biggest game in the weekend. So it's just a joke. It needs total ripping apart the whole the official side of things and the officiating side of things. It's not fit. I've said it, not fit for purpose.
No, what I would love is if you look at the Brentford Man United game again. Sorry, tangent, but De Gea, as soon as that game finishes, he's like, I'm going on Sky. And they're probably like, you don't have to do, you've made your mistake. Don't throw yourself. But he's like, no, I've got to front up. I've got to be a man. Yeah. I would love to see one of these referees, because I'd respect them more if they actually went on, because they're probably being told, no, don't do it, don't do it. But if one of them went on Sky and literally, even if he had the screen behind him and he's just like, I've seen this here now. I didn't see it at the time or whatever. The lads in the earpiece and that didn't pick it up. And it's just like, I've done wrong.
Yeah,
I think people would respect him, because there's all these managers' press conferences and players' press. I don't know why the refs seem to be able to skip, like you said, accountability. I think they should be made, because if a manager skips a press conference, he can get done. He gets done, doesn't he? He gets a fine or something.
It's exactly that. What you got to ask the question, why don't they want to do it? And then then you realise why aren't they doing that? All they will be doing is explaining the decision making and what they decided to do, or why, and then people will pick it apart like they do on radio shows and whatever like that, on podcasts, what have you. But if there's some sort of transparency, which is a key word, and there isn't any,
100%.
I think that's what it is. You're always going to have these issues. As long as there's no transparency, you're always going to have, why the hell have they done that? Have they done it before his article? Have they done it for they want to give a team a leg up? Or do they want to make, a certain weekend of games to be controversial so it gets more hits? I'll point to the Formula One situation, the last race when Hamilton got done. The amount of traction that got all over the place, not just in F1 circles. The amount of traction it got worldwide because of that controversy. So there's times when, there's so many occasions where they just make these decisions, and it just doesn't make any sense. Why have they done that? And it's only because I think, they don't want accountability, and two, it gets people talking, and it's a product at the end of the day. They want to keep making sure the product is talked about, and people watch it and tune in and boost, the revenue streams or whatever.
Because for me, I'm like, if they all want the fame and everything else, which I think a few of them do, especially Mike Dean, then obviously being interviewed and everything about it surely helps more so than an article that you have on a Thursday in a paper. Surely the more you do, the more you're gonna. I don't know. I don't know. But back on the game. So Leicester's first goal, Saliba. Unlucky. I just think it's a lack of communication from him and Ramsdale. I don't really blame either of them. He knows Vardy's quick and he's behind. Okay, he's not as quick as he used to be, but he's behind me. I've got to do something, and it just went wrong.
Nothing wrong with that. He's, you hit it on the head, nail on the head. Maybe if Ramsdale had maybe said something maybe beforehand, he came again rushing out a little bit, a bit like the penalty situation, non-penalty situation. But no, it was a response. It was his reaction to it that showed you that this guy is, again, if you needed further proof, he's a real deal. We've got to tie him down. By hook or by crook, we have to tie this guy down, man.
Him and his agent are doing the right thing, Michael. They know, look, we'll give you till about when the World Cup is. Yeah. Because that's the world's biggest, as much as it's a great tournament, as they say, that's the world's biggest shop window for football.
Yeah, it is.
And he's like, I can smash this in Qatar and I can leave you high and dry, Mikel. So, if you keep picking me, and I might sign it. I think unfortunately, as much as I'd like to say the ball was in our court, that one it's not. I think he's got all the pieces. But I think he is going to keep playing him, and I am actually quite confident he'll sign, as much as I am with Saka.
Yeah. But no, it was he couldn't do anything about that. He tried to get his foot on the end of get something on the end of it to get it away from Vardy, and unfortunately he went in the back of the net. But yeah.
Yeah, and I thought the crowd were absolutely brilliant. I've not seen anything like that. I'm used to obviously Aboué making a mistake, getting booed and such. It was just nice. So I don't know if that's because he's new and he's young and everybody. But I really appreciate it. I mean, Mikel mentioned it in the presser as well, didn't he? And another thing as well, his head could have dipped there, and he could have had he could have carried on and had a stinker, but it just didn't faze him. And that, I think, shows, we've all said about this kid's levels. That's, I'm like, did not, falter, did not, okay, oh God. And he didn't panic anymore about Vardy or whoever being behind. He just, no, all right, I've made my, customary mistake. That's it.
No, quality. Just, like I said, we just need to make sure that we tie him down. Because it's just his presence. He's such a specimen as well. He's just massive.
That's the word that I keep being. Presence is the word that I keep being seen. Yeah,
just, massive, and just watching him and Gabriel, just the way they were snuffing out some of the little attacks. Especially when Daka came on towards the end. I think there was a situation where I think Daka got in a foot race with Saliba, and Saliba just dealt with him. It was just dealt with him, came away with the ball. Just stroked it to Gabriel, and it was like, that was it. Danger over. It was just effortless. So, we need to. Again, it's all about fitness and keeping everyone happy, sort of thing. But
Yeah, and then the third goal, you touched on it earlier. Xhaka scores it, but it's a really nice cross from Ben White. It's a really, really good delivery, which is something that people haven't really mentioned about with him being at right back. But you could see that he could beat the press when he was playing at centre half. So to get that delivery on, it was really good. And then, like we mentioned, Jesus is on it like a rash. He's trying to get his hat trick. He's up for it, and it's a bit of a scramble. It falls to Xhaka, and he smashes it in. And I couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah. Just he's a shame it wasn't his second one.
Of
But
course.
no, just the guy. He was amazing that the runs he was making and the amount of times he got in the box. But just being there, no one else. No one else was. You weren't. Martinelli was a bit further out, but
Yeah.
just for him to be about in that position just shows you how well he's sort of developing in that sort of eight role, left-sided eight,
Yeah.
and again the way he was coming out as well, dovetailing with Zinchenko as well was pretty wild. The way Zinchenko was almost playing, he was almost holding hands with Partey on certain occasions, and so it's just exciting. It's really exciting. All this new players, the way they fitted in. And just the way everyone's gelling and playing really lovely football, sort of football we played in the first half. Really one touches around the corners. It's just exciting times, man. I just hope we don't get done. I don't know when the next international break is. I think that's the only thing that's going to throw a spanner in the works. It normally does, doesn't it? They all go away happy, skipping away, and then they all come back and flipping wheelchairs and crutches and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's hopefully that won't be the case this time.
Yeah, I'd be not that Scotland qualified sadly, but I'd be going to Tierney like no shower. If you're showering, mate, you get lifted in, get him a lift. Or he's got to have a bath. He's not allowed to shower. He's got to be lifted in and lifted out. We're not not having this again. So Leicester's second again. We're going to touch on the players in a minute, so I won't go too deep on it. But Zinchenko again, leggy. He's in a foot race with Iheanacho. He don't win it, sadly. And Maddison gets through and he tucks it right under Ramsdale's legs. And for me, again, I think Ramsdale, the angle and everything, for me, suited the goalkeeper more than it suits the attacker. I thought he did quite poor there. I don't want to lay into him.
No. We've seen loads of situations like that before, and it hits the keeper. It hits his foot or it hits part of his body and it goes out. It doesn't tend to go in like that. He's obviously, I think in the 11, him and maybe Odegaard to a certain extent, but he's probably they're the only two players that I'm a bit worried about. They haven't flown out the traps like everybody else has, even though Ramsdale pulled off a couple of saves in the game and against Palace, but just a little bit. He's undercooked at the moment. He's not at the level yet. So, but hopefully that's just maybe to do with maybe a pre-season, or he's had a setback in pre-season, maybe, or something like that. But
he come into it a bit later, didn't he? Because obviously he was on. That they let the people that were like the internationals, didn't they? They let him have the extended. They let him have the extended time. So, and obviously. I've got his name now. Turner, that's it. Yeah, Turner signed, and they wanted to get him playing. Well. So, I mean, he's not had as long per se, but I get what you mean. Yeah. And then the fourth, it's a really, really nice hit from Martinelli, set up again by his mate Jesus. So, he was everywhere. He was everywhere.
Yeah. 2-2 for him, and we love him obviously, and his work rate is 100% every game. He wants to win every tackle. He wants the ball all the time. Again, you just want people to have a good run. We've got a good opening run of games. Let's just capitalize on it and get the confidence up. He's. I think we all sort of kind of said, especially Neil. You could see him maybe being that guy in the centre in future. Yeah. And maybe he still might, he's still, is he 21? So,
plenty of time.
But loads of time. But I mean, what he's doing in his position now, inverted, is pretty special. So, again, another one, long may it continue.
Yeah, and he's another one as well. I read today that he's getting a new improved offers being put on the table. His monetary figure's going to be bumped up. So, I know, again, a lot of people do worry about the wages that have been spent in the past. But I'm like, these were to people that didn't deserve. I'm like, these guys have got it on merit for me. I'm like, pay them. They should. We've for me, and it's not even a bias thing. We've got the most potential in the league out of our squad, I reckon, because you've got the established players that have won everything. that seem to look like they want to get better, and they want to get better at a side that they're the main man in, or they get more respect. You know, or well, Zinchenko and Jesus, they've got fans that they can hear and see. You know, it's not an empty, it's not an empty ground. They can they can see and hear everybody. You know, they're like, oh my god, there's people, like, this is amazing. You know, this place sells out. It's not empty. And with having the youngest squad in the league, they're only going to get better anyway. And the ones that aren't up to scratch, sadly, they're going to have to go. And, it looks as though at the moment we've got a production line. I think Mertesacker and even, there's Wilshere in there now. Everyone's just making a contingency plan of players that just comes all the way through. And you will get chances at Arsenal. That's the one thing. You will always, there is that next way in.
Yeah. I think the way that, everything we talk about, obviously the first team, and how Arteta's come in and what him and they do have done. But I think even before that, going back before that, what Mertesacker's done as well, and obviously the support and the link between the two has been paramount. I mean, I know towards the end of last season, a few of them featured on the bench, mainly because of obviously the squad was so short, so small. But and then a couple of them went on the trip to Dubai, and then obviously went on the trips away to America and what was it, Austria or Germany went to. So it's great that there's this linkage, and kids are going out on loan, but with no obligation to buy, which I think is a key thing. Or the ones that so it's we believe in you. We just want to give you the minutes to make you develop. In the sense that we can now see with Saliba. Saliba obviously had some personal issues as well, which was one of the reasons why I went back to France. But with like Patino, for example, he's gone to Blackpool, to play, get minutes, and then come back a bit more developed, physically, whatever, and then we can integrate you in. It's just everything looks really healthy at the moment in terms of all the levels. And as spot on with what you said, the likes of Jesus and Zinchenko, who were good squad members, as such, you can say. I mean, maybe Jesus was more of a first teamer because obviously he played, right in the run in last season in practically all the games. But to come to I hate to say it, I won't say project, but come to a club with this plan in mind and knowing that you are going to feature, you are the main men, and to kick us on. Because to be fair, and to rate Edu and Arteta again, I think it was 2 months before the season ended, and they asked Arteta, look, what are the transfer goal? What are your aspirations for the transfer window? And he did say, look, we've done the groundwork with what we've done last summer with the younger players, the 5 or 6 younger players. This summer is about getting players in who are, more advanced, around the mid 25 plus experience, and can take us on to the next level. And that's exactly what he's done, obviously, with the 2 main ones. Obviously, people say, well, what about Vieira? But that was a special circumstance because they watched this guy and they said, look, we need to act now. We need to get him now. But with Zinchenko and Jesus, I still can't believe that we've got Zinchenko, to be honest. I can't believe City let him go. I look at it in the way he played yesterday against Leicester, and what happened there? Was that
they were probably
that,
so
that was that the favour that Arteta Pep probably said to him, I'll give you one favour.
Possibly. I think they were so confident that they were going to get Cucurella, like Brighton were going to cave in. Yeah. And I don't, they're clearly now, like we've seen, obviously this lad from Anderlecht, he apparently was on our list as well. He's meant to be quite a decent lad. So we'll see. I will reserve judgment on him because he's going to Man City. He's got to be good if he's going to Man City. He can't be a dud. Surely not. But touching back on our players, we'll go through them all as quick as possible. I've made quite a few notes on a few certain ones. So if you want to, just at any time, just stop me. Just let me know, mate. Go for it, man. So Ramsdale again, for me, like you said with Odegaard as well, he was the only one that I thought had a real big shaky game. Just again the small lapses in the concentration, and I wanted him to do better, but he, again, like we said, he made that big save for Fofana at the beginning, and Jack alluded to it. I listened to the pod with him and Neil earlier in the week, and he said if he's quiet, he's like Lehmann. I need to get involved. No, I can't just sit here and wait for something to happen.
Yeah.
I want to do my bit,
Yeah.
and I think that could be an issue.
Yeah, I'd hope that's to do with his age.
Yeah.
Because the only person I think who's similar like that he can think of is probably someone like Pickford, who again thrives off some sort of angst or some sort of back and forth with someone, whether it's his own defenders or whether it's the crowd or whatever, and he's fairly young as well. So hopefully it's something that he'll lose and become more rounded. But Lehmann, what I was see what he was doing.
So that's
that out the window. So who knows? But hopefully, that will fade away a little bit, and it'll become a little bit more chilled and relaxed. And I think once he gets a few, I think he's always worried about his clean sheets. I think one of the no spoilers, but
mate, all of it's been on Twitter. If I didn't watch it on Amazon, I've watched it on Twitter. Yeah.
I can't remember what game it was. My memory's going because of my kids, man. They're just driving me crazy. That's another thing. But there was one game where we conceded right at the end, and I think we won, but he was absolutely devastated. His head was literally on the floor. Arteta came to him and says, "Look, head up," and he was just like literally like just. Laka was. I think someone else came and said something to him as well. And then again, I think we played Liverpool and we lost, and he was disappointed because he let the goal in the near post. I think the Jota one, and he was. I mean, this guy, he wants to be the best. He thrives to be the best, and he loves clean sheets, man. So I think once he gets a few more, and he can relax a little bit, and
I mean, that's why I'm slightly. Not really concerned, but there's a bit of me tomorrow that's thinking he's going back to his old club. They voted him as player of the season before, and I'm like, don't be showing off because you're at a, I've got me Han Solo and Luke. Don't get cocky, kid. Just do your job. Do your job. But I'm not overly concerned, but it's a niggle in the back of my mind that's like, just calm it tomorrow. You're obviously going to be excited, going to see people again that you used to. Just do the business. I think he will. Ben White. Anything for you? You want to add on? I thought again, solid.
Did all right.
Solid for me. Yeah. I wasn't worried about him at all, and I thought the delivery for the third goal, like you mentioned earlier, lovely. Really, really nice.
Yeah. Okay,
Saliba. Again, other than the own goal, very assured and solid. And he could have, like I mentioned, put his head down, but he cracked on, and I think that's the difference with him compared to what was there before. And you mentioned it, the Jesus incident where he gets volleyed, and it's a definite penalty. Again, how that didn't happen, but a lot of the Arsenal players stop and are appealing for this, and Leicester sort of come out, and he's the one that breaks the move up and then starts that pass to Ben White for the third goal. So he's the young, he's one of the young ones, and he's like, boys, hey, heads. No, really, really good.
Yeah, another top performance, and he's going to be tested. We'll see when we come against better teams, but at the moment, it's undroppable.
Yeah. I can't wait to see him against better team. I know a lot of people are fearful. I can't wait to see him against a better team. I really
would like to see what him and the sort of partnership or relationship he develops with Tomiyasu when he
that's true.
That's going to be really interesting. Both strong guys, especially when Tomiyasu tucks in sometimes as well. So you're going to have him, Gabriel. That's going to be like a brick wall, just in, going across there. So it's going to be interesting to see when he gets back in, because I think that's probably the only natural change when Tomiyasu is 100% fit. I think he comes in for Ben White. So that's going to be interesting.
And Gabriel, for me, the best compliment I can give him is that I've literally not in my notes. There wasn't, other than he just solid, just a solid cat. You know, there wasn't nothing that I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I
solid
did.
7 out of 10.
He
Yeah.
did. Yeah, he did nothing that I thought, oh, that's bad, and he just does
Yeah.
what Gabriel does. You know.
Yeah, made a nuisance again at corners and set pieces and stuff as usual.
Some of that
Yeah,
distribution from him as well. I think because everyone's so loving Saliba and even White's distribution, they're forgetting how good Gabriel is. Some of that left-footed passing that he's making over to that side, he's just as good on the ball as he is at defending as well. I think people are I think they're overlooking it. So, yeah, no, very impressed. Zinchenko, like I mentioned earlier, I thought first half was excellent. I mean, he won all of his tackles, one of his ground duels, one of his aerials. He had 95% passing, 17 out of 18 in the final third. And he did wane. He did wane like he did in the first game against Palace. But we've got that option of Tierney now, which I think is great. And obviously, I know Tierney's not going to want this. He's going to want to be starting again. But I think he accepts at the moment, with the way things are going and everything else, I'm going to have to wait.
Yeah.
But I think Tierney relishes the competition. I mean, Zinchenko today, I know that he did a little interview and he said, no, we've spoken to each other and we're both like, we're going to push not only ourselves on, but we're pushing the team on. Because this is Arsenal and this, Arsenal don't, we don't do this scrambling around, we want to win things. So, because that's the thing. We talk about the winners in the squad. Okay, people dismiss it because it was the Scottish League and everything, but he won everything that was there to win. He's one of the only ones who has, I've got medals.
Yeah. I think Arteta said it in his presser today. How at the start of the season, it's obviously difficult to keep people happy because it's only the league games, and then the Europe comes in and the cups come, League Cup comes in, and then you can start playing or resting players or rotating.
And he will start all those Europa games 100%.
Yeah.
He'll probably be captain in them as well.
Yeah, I think we've gone to the point now where players realise that if you want to win something significant, you're not gonna play. It's not the old school where you play every single game. There's going to be occasions where you have to be rested because of the demands of you. So you have to be part of the squad, and that means there's going to be times where you're going to get pulled out. Even if you're on form, you might get pulled out one game. And and I think a lot of these players, the ones who are for the team, like you said, I think like you said, he'll understand that.
Sure.
Right, he's got the shirt at the moment, but there'll be a time when I'll come in for 4, 5, 6 games, and I've got to be at that level, and he just needs to make sure he's there to do that. So. But yeah, just the depth that we've got is pretty special at the moment. And
for a change, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thomas Partey, for me, didn't have a bad game, but I thought some of his passes weren't up to scratch. And I actually took a look, and he only did 69%, which I thought that's low for you. You're normally 80 above, and he also got dispossessed 15 times. It obviously wasn't detrimental, but I thought that's not you.
Yeah. It wasn't like his Palace performance. He definitely was a lot more impressive in that one. But yeah, I don't know what it was. It could be a number of factors. Obviously, something we won't talk about, but it could have been the heat. It could have been the heat. It was because it was baking. I went into London that day. It was ridiculous. I don't know how they managed to run around in that, but yeah, it was disappointing. There was a lot of good situations where he could have found Odegaard and he just overhit or just completely missed target. So that was a shame.
Yeah, and then Granit Xhaka, we again touched on it earlier. I don't know if it was because Tielemans was having an audition and he was like, "I don't leave. You ain't better than me. This is me." And like you said as well, there has been ardent defenders of Granit Xhaka. I've always liked him from day one. You get him. Mm-hmm. And Rich, over and over again, Rich. He has, there is video evidence of Rich with Xhaka. And we had a big debate the other day, and I said to him, look, Rich, he's got to produce. He's got to get number. If he's going to play this left 8 now, which is the route we're going, he has to produce numbers, Rich. And he's like, what do you mean? No. And I said, he's got to get goals and assists. And he was like, oh, but he's not that player. And I went, I know he's not that player at the moment, but that's what, if he's playing there, Rich, that's what he's got to do. And he shut me up. He got both. He did both. So that's all for me, it's the consistency. If he can keep going, then he ain't going to get, like we mentioned, digged out and people, if he can stay clued up and switched on and produce goals and assists, then we're not going to moan. I mean, he won all of his aerials, 100% on his long balls. He had 88% pass accuracy for the game, made 2 key passes, had the 1 shot, which led to his goal, and he got 1 assist. So,
okay. Yeah, you can't argue with that. If he's going to be consistent and keep doing that, and producing at that level, then, just why would you want to disrupt something? And he looks like he's happy. When he scores, he's beaming and everything. So, and again, for the footage and that you've seen on the documentary, to see how valued he is amongst the squad. He basically, he is a de facto captain. Basically, he's captain all but name. But amazing start to the season for him. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, and Odegaard again for me, slightly quiet game again, but nothing that made me go, oh no, don't have him in there. Bring Smith Rowe back in and everything else. I just want to see you a bit more involved. Again, obviously in the Palace game, I thought he should have had at least 4 goals, but in this one, there's not, like I said, it's not completely scathing at him and slagging the boy off. I just come on. I know that he's got that. He can pull numbers, this lad. I know he can.
Yeah. He's another one that it just seems a little bit, especially the Palace game. He was sort of pressed a lot. He just seems a little bit, undercooked. Maybe not hitting the straps at the moment because he's still effectively pre-season in a sense. 2 games in. But yeah, it's funny. There was a situation where he had the ball. If you remember, it's about 20 yards out, and everyone was saying shoot, because obviously what happened against Palace, it's like, for F's sake, just shoot, shoot. And he probably knows he should have had a couple of goals in that game, or at least had a couple of efforts on goal in that game. And as keeper saves it, parries it, whatever. Drops to one of our guys and he taps it in, and so that's the only him and Ramsey are the 2 that a bit low scores, but they'll come good, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying all this about him. He's probably going to whip a free kick in top bins tomorrow. That's what I want. If he watches, it's not a criticism. It's just a suggestion, mate. I know you've got it in you. That's all. Saka, Mike, for me, again, he was another one. People were like, I don't think he had a good game. I actually said, I think he did. For someone who has a quiet game to still get nearly 2 assists, one at the post, and then Jesus skied the one, didn't he, when it fell to him? I'm like, if he's doing that on a quiet day, a bit like he did against Palace, then, I can't wait to see him on a good day, because if that's him when it's quiet.
I think, because I think, exactly with what you said. And I think last season, especially when we had the run from January, from late January onwards, it was the Odegaard and Saka combination that was getting us through games. Really, they link up, and it's good in a way that we're getting wins and we're getting results without the 2 of them really sort of having that major factor on it. Oh yes, he's got the assist and he got the goal. He forced the own goal against Palace, but he didn't have a necessarily good game. I thought Mitchell pretty much was all over him. He seemed to be on his heels a lot of that game. He's a
really good player. I don't think he gets enough credit. He was brilliant against Liverpool as well.
Yeah, with Saka, it seems like when he's up against a fullback that is a really, really, really good fullback, he seems to go in his shell a little bit. I think Robertson does the same with him.
Yeah,
he's always up against
Robertson's mentally got him somehow.
He gets his head. He's probably always talking as well. You always see he's talking. but he just seems to be in his shell a little bit. Rather than trying to impose himself on the guy, he's a little bit on his heels. I'll just make sure I'll keep it this side and keep the ball this side rather than the other side. But it's good that we're doing bits at the moment, and Odegaard and Saka really haven't had much to do with it as such. Again, Saka's got 2 assists and a bit of assists, but compared to what we relied on them so much last season, it's good that once they do kick in, we don't have to worry, we don't have to focus. We become a bit unpredictable in that regard. Whereas the opposition think, okay, shut Saka down, shut the left-hand side down, and we'll be all right. But no, because you've got the 2 Brazilians on the other side, just starting to do a madness at the moment. So just keep it like that.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it, the 2 Brazilians doing a madness. Let's go on the first one. Martinelli, mate, 92% pass accuracy. He had 47 touches of the ball, made 4 key passes, created 1 big chance and got 1 goal. So now he's got 3 in consecutive Premier League games for the first time. Neil has said from, I think, before he even kicked the ball for Arsenal, Neil said he was going to be the most consistent and dependable finisher in the world, didn't he? I think he's got a thing for Brazilians. I can understand why. I totally get it. Having been in a Scotland-Brazil game at the Emirates, I understand why he probably likes them. But I mentioned it earlier on the WhatsApp. I listened to his interview with Ian Wright, and the first thing that took me by surprise was how well his English is. And he said that he actually developed that from when he was injured, and the physio refused to talk to him unless they spoke in English. And Mikel said, that's good. Yeah. Mikel said, unless you speak English, you're going to take longer to. It was sort of, not only am I being punished because I'm in pain here and I need help, but learn English. And yeah, he's spot up, mate. His English is very, very good. And some of the stuff he was talking about in the podcast, have you listened to it yourself? Or
I've listened to it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to listen to it definitely.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going to give spoilers now if I
go for it.
If I carry on. Okay, because some of the stuff he was talking about, you listen to it and you go, bloody hell, that's happening during the games now, and it's manifesting on the pitch. He mentioned when they were in Germany, they had the camp for about 5 or 6. I think it was the 5th or the 6th day they actually played the game. But he said the first 4 days, no balls. They didn't let them have any of the balls, and it was literally all that they were working on was movements and positioning and relationships. In terms of, and you can see from I know obviously Zinchenko come when we were in America, but like you said, that left hand side of Zinchenko, Xhaka, him, and then Jesus in the middle of it. Even though he can drift left and he can drift well, it's unbelievable. Some of it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think. Watching the game back, you can see, and obviously the commentary was saying a lot, like, Arsenal, they look really sort of organised, they look really structured. Leicester can't. There's times we had it and they just couldn't get through. They couldn't get through us, and we were pressing them right back to the keeper Ward. And obviously that's what he's saying. Obviously that's what they've been working on, like structure and organisation. I think it's definitely bearing fruit because. Obviously, the more that we do it, as we go into the season, we'll get tested. But no, it's great that Arteta's going into so much detail and going to a different level in terms of how he's preparing these guys for what's to come.
Yeah, and then next up, obviously, is the main man, old Gabriel Jesus. Mike, for me, he's a striker that we've needed for so long. When you actually watch him in full flow, you actually think to yourself, like, what have we been doing for the last 2 seasons? You think that he's mainly going to occupy the right-sided space where that's where he come through. He's actually a right winger to start with, and he's just drifting left. He's drifting central. He's just everywhere. Wherever I want to be, I will do damage wherever I am. And on top of that, you got the other 3 with him. You got Martinelli, you got Odegaard, you got Saka that can help him. And he just, like you said as well, with the second goal, I think he really benefits from feeling and knowing that I am the main man.
Yeah.
This, obviously I still feel for Saka is the main man. If you were to say who's the main man at Arsenal, people will say Saka because of he's on everything and he's a Highlander. But Jesus is the, Jesus is the main man.
100%. Yeah. It was pretty, it was again, it was just a special just electrifying. You know, there was a a run he made in the second half where he picks the ball up, he goes past about 3 or 4 players, and or 2 or 3 players, and he fires it across, and no one's at the far post. But just the energy that he brings to the team. I mean, the thing that I was gutted about was the chance that he missed when indeed he sort of stuck his foot in. People said it was him. It was indeed that stuck his foot in. But I know the last week, I think the week before, you said to Tom that Ramsdale was going to get an assist, and I thought, Jesus Christ,
it was. I was close.
Game week 2, it's only going to flip it happen, and it just got because that was amazing. Again, Ramsdale was. One thing with him, he still can pick out, some absolutely sensational passes, and but that was unreal. And the way he's 5'9", 5'10", Jesus, and he's battling away, spins Evans, and that would have been an amazing goal if he'd have buried that. But he, again, Arteta was saying after the game, he was gutted. He knew he should have scored at least a hat-trick or should have got 4 goals, and he was disappointed with himself. And then that's the level, that's the mentality that you want, because someone like Eddie Nketiah is looking over at him or hearing that or looking at him and thinking, this guy scored 2 goals, he's got 2 assists, he's got man of the match. Look at him, he's pissed off, and that's what I've got to be like. I've got to be like that when it's my turn. I've got to be with that mindset, and not just him, but rubs off with it on everyone else. So, but like I said, we've needed him for a long time, and someone like that for a long time. And so glad that we've got him. And again, touch wood, he stays fit, man, because he's gonna have a ridiculous season, absolutely ridiculous season. I was saying 15 goals. Would be. I think he's gonna surpass that.
I think he's going to blitz that as well. Yeah, I mean, another friend of the show, like you mentioned with the Ramsdale distribution thing, I remember being at the Southampton game last season. I went with Melvin, good old Melvin, and he said to me, James, when they have these set pieces or these crosses, and he makes that high claim, he's like, watch Martinelli as that out ball. Because he's like quick, and then and I'm telling you, he will definitely get an assist some way this season, 100%. And but no, like I mentioned about being the main man, he's got a lot of flack in Brazil. I think it's subsiding now, but the Brazil manager next to Alisson, Thiago, and I think it was Marquinhos, he's been the most called up player, and obviously he had that last World Cup in 2018. Didn't score a goal, and he was completely. I remember they really slagged him off and panned him for that. And I think where he feels so important for us now, he knows that Qatar's coming up. And as much as we talk about, we're Arsenal and we want to win, Brazil is World Cup. Yeah, we got to win it. We're winning it. Yeah, we are. And so you know what, I wouldn't write them off. I'd say they're definitely got to be in the top 3. I mean, I personally think Argentina's probably going to win it. I don't know why. I
think Brazil or Argentina, if I had to put money on,
and then next to them, I've got to say the French.
French,
I think, I would love a Brazil-Argentina final if it links up. I'd love to see it, because I think it's made for it. And you talk about as well him being fuming. I was listening today to Natalie Guedra. She's the Brazilian ESPN reporter based over here, and she said at half-time, Jesus actually asked for the iPad. He said, "Can I have the iPad to be shown my missus?" Because he went, "I need to watch these back," because he's like, "I want to know where was my position." So I'm like, even at half time, after he's had his team talk, he's critiquing his own performance, and that for me is something we missed as well, because Aubameyang and Lacazette would miss a really easy chance in the game, then we wouldn't see him for the rest. He still come out second half hungry, wanted more. Obviously, he got his 2 assists, and he's good in the box and with his finishing, and he's a good link-up player. It was like if you got the best of Aubameyang and the best of Lacazette and smacked them together. We've got him now. We've got him.
Just hope he stays fit, man.
And like you mentioned, big credit to Edu and Mikel, because they've been going for this since March. Obviously, I think there were talks in January, but they've said, Fabrizio come out and said, since March they've been going for this. and other clubs were really towards the end trying to turn him, and he went, no, he went, I like what Edu and, you know, Mikel have presented to me, and he knows I'm absolute priority. You know, if he, there was a lot of rumours about him potentially going to the other lot up the road, and he knew he wouldn't start there. He would be second fiddle up there, or maybe then start him out wide, which he didn't want. He's like, no, I'm number 9 through the middle. And he might have potentially gone to Chelsea, but he stuck with, you know, he stuck with what he knew with Mikel, and we're getting the best out of him. Just to quickly rattle off the stats, mate, in the game: 54 touches, 7 shots, 3 out of 4 dribbles, 3 shots on target, made 3 key passes, 2 goals and 2 assists. And so far in the Premier League this season, highest XG out of any player with 2.06. If you care about XG, I know a lot of people don't, but I think it's a good metric. Most goals and assists, 4. Most touches in an opposition box, 26. I think that's more than Lacazette had in his career for us. And most take-ons completed so far out of any player with 9. And obviously he equalled Lacazette's open play record in one game, didn't he, from last year? So, you know, I don't like to lay into Lacazette. He done it. You know, he done a solid job. He just wasn't good enough.
It's just tailed off. But no, he's just key. You know, he's such a fundamental player already for us. And if he's not already, anyone watching or listening, you know, why he has to be in your fantasy team, isn't he?
Yes. Oh yeah.
If he's not, then what's the matter with you? Don't know what you do.
Captain tomorrow.
No, I don't know. Probably not. I don't want to jinx it.
I to be honest, mate, I was considering tripling it. I was like, do you know what? I might go early. His record against Bournemouth's ridiculous, isn't it? I think is it something like he's got 6 in 3 against them or something?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Got a really. They're one of his best teams that he's faced for goals, I think. So, but you just touched on it. Bournemouth tomorrow, mate. Sorry, no, just quick. Was there anything else on any of the players? Or I know we haven't really gone through the subs, but it was nice, obviously, to see Smith Rowe and Tomiyasu back. Tierney again,
he looks
solid.
all right when he come on.
Eddie come on. Obviously, he needs more minutes, but solid. So, but no, was there anyone else or anything?
No, just we touch on. I think Fabio Vieira played, didn't he, for the under-21s with Cedric as well, and Smith Rowe, and
fully
looked tidy.
Fully fit squad. He confirmed today.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so he looks tidy. Some of the passes he was doing. So it'd be good to see him. You know, as we move along, I'm sure we'll see him in the Europa League as well. But it's all about keeping the other guys happy, isn't it? On the outside looking in, and I don't think there'll be any changes tomorrow night. But no, it's everything's really, really healthy. Just, you know, you spin it back 12 months where we were 12 months ago. It's just crazy, isn't it, how quickly things can change. But looking forward to tomorrow night.
Good. And if I can trouble you for your prediction and your first goal scorer, please.
First goal scorer will be, I think Odegaard will score first goal. Probably a free kick, top corner, top bins.
I might have to. Do you know what? I might have to put a fiver on this if you're manifesting it as well.
And I'd say 3-0. I'd say 3-0. I think we'll look at. You know, I think they would have worked on the 2 goals that we conceded. So obviously, the one was the own goal from Saliba, but I just think he's obviously Arteta's not happy about about that side of things, and I think he want to make us a little bit tighter. So I think Bournemouth have got the lowest amount of shots on goal over the first 2 weekends of the season or something like that. So we've just got to try and keep them out to that sort of those numbers, and I think we should have too much going forward for them. I
agree. Yeah, I was going to do 3-0 as well, but not to copy her. I'll go. I don't like to put the goal in there, but I'll do 3-1. And
okay,
you got to have Jesus, haven't you? He's just After all that I've rattled on about him just there with all them numbers, the numbers don't lie. I think.
Do you imagine us doing this when when Henri was doing his business, and like, it would
Oh
be boring,
God,
isn't it? It would be all each first goal was like,
there is a part of me
there's
that's
no one
just
else, is there?
there is a part of me that's just like how would it have been if I was to do podcasts like now during the Invincible? You know, there's too many draws, too
Yeah.
many draws. I think I'd be losing my head. I mean, they because of the 30 years of the Premier League, they had
Yeah.
some of the Sky and BT and some of the other channels have been doing these little documentaries, and I always forget until it's repeated that main,
Yeah.
like people say, Lehman, Lauren, Campbell, Torre, Cole. Was it Vieira, Gilberto, Pires, Lundberg, Henri? But
Yeah.
they only played one game.
Yeah.
That whole 11. What are you
Yeah.
thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, they only
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
together for one game.
Mad, isn't it? It's
So it's
mad.
just like, yeah, it goes to show, God, the squad then as well was just as good,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. It's just mad how
yeah.
Wiltord and Edu were massive, and
Carnu even on his day,
yeah,
he
yeah,
done a job. But
yeah.
no, good stuff, good stuff. So, Michael, thank you for coming on.
It's all right, pleasure, mate.
In terms of your own channel, please
Yeah.
plug away. I haven't got the most subscribers in the world. However, anything I can do to help you, I always will, Michael, because you're
No, I
one of the
appreciate
top,
it, mate.
one of the top men.
Yeah. No, thank you, man. Yes. So the channel, it's going to probably be kicking off in about 2 weeks' time, I'd say. I've got some logistics to do. I've got to do some painting first and foremost. The missus has asked me to do some painting, and I can't do anything until
Oh no,
I've done the painting.
No.
So I've got all the gear, I've got all the stuff, and every bits and pieces. Got a nice new microphone and what have you. I'll have you on as a guest, hopefully.
I appreciate it. I'd love to.
And so yeah, got all the bits and pieces, and yeah. So hopefully, at the end of the month, if not, it'll be probably, I don't know when the first international break is, if it's next month, but it might be around that time. So when maybe things are quieting down a little bit, and then we can review it or lead into the United game. But yeah, hopefully it was just going to be a honest, something similar to this, a chat review about the game, and maybe look at things slightly differently, because we, people got different takes and hear different people's voices in terms of how they're feeling about the club and the team and everything, and not just want it to be a blanket same opinion. Different opinions are welcome. But yeah, so hopefully get that going in a few weeks. But I've got to get down to B&Q and get a few tubs of paint first.
I totally understand. No, I understand, and I'm looking forward to it. A lot of people say, "Oh, the Arsenal market is saturated." For me, give me some more. When I'm on lunch or at work, I'm allowed to have the headphones in. Give me the consent. Give me the consent. So
yeah, no pressure, man.
No, I will put it in the description and everything for you as well. But if people want to find it, I know you've got your Instagram, your Twitter. You did that great little introduction vid. Where can they find it, Mark?
So Twitter handle is Arsenal above all. So at Arsenal above all, and the Instagram is Arsenal _above _all. And what else have I got? I think that's the main. And obviously, I've got a YouTube as well. If you go to YouTube and just type in Arsenal above all, you'll find just a couple of 2 vids on there. Just one of the intro. But yeah, it's coming soon. So hopefully people like it and join. I feel watch so many shows and everything to say, like the video, subscribe. I'm not saying, I'm not going to say. I don't want to say it feels weird saying it, but yeah, hopefully if you like it, if you like content, by all means, please like and share, subscribe, and comment. Comments are more than welcome, and get involved as well, because again, the door's open. If you're a genuine fan and you've got a different take on things or whatever, or unique takes or whatever, just get involved and try and can jump on. I think there's so many good, as you said, there's so much good content out there. So many good people do some good stuff, and I think it's great when people are on different things and you can see people collaborating and stuff like that. Which will hopefully do in the future. And
100%. I mean, I always love doing this with Tom. We've been. He's been my brother's best friend, and then de facto he's become one of my best friends. We were both best man at his wedding. And if he's not available to do it, for me, there's people that ain't even ever done podcasts before, but you're reading their tweets and stuff on Twitter, and you're like, you would be fantastic. That's what I want to be doing. If you're a new voice, even, if you're apprehensive, don't be. I don't like to think I'm intimidating. If I am, I apologise. That's not the vibe I want to give. But yeah, I will hear anyone out and talk about this club with anybody. So that's and I know you're the same, and they're not. I'm gonna plug the purely Arsenal boys in case they don't ever they don't forgive me. We're still going strong. We're still going to be back. Hopefully, you'll be back with us on there when the time frames line up. And then the last one, because Tom will not forgive me if I don't ask. Do you believe Fofana has cloggy feet? I do. Watching that, I think Chelsea should be thanking us. We've saved you some money there. We've knocked about 5-10 mil off that fee with that performance.
He looked a bit cloggy when he had that chance. To be fair, I think if he was a bit more on his, quick on his toes, I think he probably would have tucked that away. But
no, he'll love that. He'll say to me, when do I fast forward about the cloggy feet? That's all he'll bless him. But no, I appreciate it. No, thank you so much. And like Michael mentioned, go follow him, go follow his channel, and please like and subscribe if you don't already, and leave a comment on this as well. I'd love to hear from you. So take care, everybody, and enjoy.